Welcome to Bienvenue's How to Become Fluent in French podcast, where we share tips and tricks to help you in your journey to speak French fluently. Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Hayduck, and I'm the founder of Bienvenue French Language School in Hudson, Ohio. We offer custom programs as well as fast track career training that will get you ready for a new career in just 18 months. Today's episode of How to Become Fluent in French is called Current Expressions You Won't Learn from Your Teacher. Not that there's anything wrong with them. This is not one where I explain the different expressions that you really shouldn't use in certain situations. No. These are fine. They're more modern expressions than what you may be used to, and they probably are things that your teachers didn't learn because they're current, up to date expressions. Anyway, today's episode I'm recording in France. And from my very first day here, I realized I was hearing over and over expressions that I had never used, as well as expressions that I teach, but ones that my students aren't necessarily incorporating into their conversations. I was listening to a radio show the other day about how the French incorporate into their everyday language expressions that they may not necessarily like. Many of these expressions are taken from the English, and sometimes their meanings are changed to fill some need. Take the word dressing, dressing, a word some people associated with changing rooms. Historically, the French never had extensive wardrobes like us Americans, so when they started adding walk-in closets to their homes, they borrowed the word dressing to mean walk-in closet because they simply had no French word for it. Dressing. Dressing. In some cases, though, there may be other ways of referring to an action, but the influence of English, as well as the frequency of use, makes these expressions so easy to use. Let's look at the verb to die, which in French used to be used in the passive sense only. It would describe a state. You would say, il est décédé, he's dead. Décédé is the past participle and is used as an adjective to describe a state. Il est décédé. This verb, used by the way only for humans, is now being used in the active state. So for some reason it has become popular to say, il décède, he is dying. Il décède. Yeah, it's weird. They already had a perfectly good verb to use, which is mourir. Il meurt, which was the active sense, so I don't know why they needed that one, but okay, whatever. I guess variety. The next expression makes the French sound like they're very accommodating, which, they are to some extent. It uses the word souci, which means worry. Se soucier, and that's spelled Soucier. Se soucier means to worry. It's a reflexive verb, so you need se. Je me soucie, I worry. Very often people will say, aucun souci, no worries, no problem. That's like a very modern, a very current expression. It's spelled Aucun, aucun souci, meaning none, no worry, no, nothing to worry about, no problem. Repeat after me. Aucun souci. Aucun souci. Now you can also say pas de souci. Pas de souci, which once again means no worries. Pas de souci. The next one is one of my favorites. Putting trop in front of an adjective. Too good. Trop bon. Too pretty. Trop joli. It means very pretty, very, super pretty. Since using the verb aimer can make some people uncomfortable, you may use the following expressions to say that you really like something. You really like that purse. J'adore ce sac à main. So if someone asks you, qu'est-ce que vous en pensez? What do you think about it? Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez? You can say, j'adore, c'est trop beau. Let's hear that. J'adore, c'est trop beau. J'adore, c'est trop beau. Good. Now, I know this isn't the first time that I mention adorer and trop, so I am curious to see how many of you have actually started using these expressions. The next one is an expression that's being used by younger generations, and it bothers some of their parents. En mode de. Here they took the word mode, gave it the French accent, which by the way can also mean fashion. La mode, right, is fashion. Then they add a qualifying word such as déprime, depression. So you might hear someone say, Je suis en mode déprime. I'm in depression mode. Je suis en mode déprime. Je suis en mode déprime. This is another popular one. En mode burnout. Je suis en mode burnout. I'm in burnout mode. Je suis en mode burnout. Je suis en mode burnout. This radio show, I only caught a portion of it before the reception turned to static. It also described what burnout actually is. Burnout is what occurs when one puts more energy and effort than one receives. So the state of burnout comes from an imbalance, which I guess I never thought of in that particular way. So let's move on. In English, there are quite a few verbs that are now being used as nouns, such as ask. I have a big ask, which I personally loathe that expression. The French, on the other hand, have been turning nouns into verbs. For example, the word sieste, meaning nap, has now become its own verb, siester. That felt really weird, and even my autocorrect objected to that one. So usually you would say, Je vais faire la sieste. I'm going to take a nap. Now you say, or you can say, Je vais siester. Je vais siester. Now, this one I really like. It's coup de cœur. Coup de cœur. A hit to my heart. Attends de la rencontrer. Tu vas avoir un coup de cœur. Wait until you meet her. You're going to fall in love. So it can be used when you're talking about a person who you feel an immediate attraction to, or you can use it for the latest lipstick color or for a puppy, say. C'est un coup de cœur. Un coup de cœur. The following made me feel really dumb when I was trying to write down someone's email address. Because usually you say blah, 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 à gmail.com. Okay, that would be blah, blah, blah at gmail.com. You even hear a lot of commercials that say their email address and then add, n'oubliez pas le point .fr. Don't forget the .fr. This particular person was giving me his email address, and it went something like this. julien.minois@bbimmobilier.fr. So I said, comment? Pourriez-vous me le répéter, s'il vous plaît? Oui, oui, bien sûr. He spells out his name, then @bbimmobilier. I actually asked him to spell out arrobas. And he says to me, mais enfin, madame, c'est le petit A avec un cercle. It's the little A with the circle. Arrobas, at sign. Well, I had never heard it, okay? And everybody else had just said at. So I had to write it down to remember it. And I have never yet heard another person use that. But whatever. That is the trickiness of French. Here, talking about trickiness, how about giving your phone number in French? And I just had to write down my phone number so I don't mess it up when I say it. And I'm still not entirely sure how they dial my American phone number from France, since I don't have to dial international codes since I've been here. But anyway, I say 1, which is the international for the United States, 33, 03, 13, 44 03, which is, I find, really difficult when you're used to saying it in an American format. So that's why instead of catching myself up, I just write it down so I can read it off. I'd like to end this one with two of my favorite pet peeves in French. Okay. The first one has to do with my very first love in pastries, the eclair. When I came to France at the age of 8, I discovered the eclair. So, our friends and family would take me to the bakery and ask me what I wanted, and I always zeroed in on the chocolate eclairs. Without a doubt, this was the first sentence I ever learned in French, so I could perfectly say, un éclair au chocolat, s'il vous plaît. Yesterday, however, this 20 something twig of a young lady proceeded to correct me and said, une éclair au chocolat. Sorry, but when I was a kid, it was masculine. To this day, it is masculine. But you will find a number of people who just insist on making it feminine. I mean, all you have to do is consult Le Petit Larousse, which is, the dictionary, the French dictionary, or the Petit Robert. Along the same vein is bon après-midi versus bon après-midi. You can't really hear a difference, right? Bon après-midi, bon après-midi. So you don't hear a difference. Good afternoon, plain as day. But when you say to someone, have a good afternoon, it becomes passez un bon après-midi. Have a good afternoon. Yet time and time again, I hear people say, passez un bon après-midi. The word après-midi has always been masculine and has no reason to change. I mean, just look at the Petit Larousse, okay? So, anyway, let's go over the expressions that we talked about. I'll give you a French sentence, translate it, and then I'll repeat it so that you can repeat it after me. C'est une chambre avec dressing. It's a bedroom with a walk-in closet. C'est une chambre avec dressing. C'est une chambre avec dressing. Cet homme est décédé. This man is dead. Cet homme est décédé. Cet homme est décédé. Cet homme a décédé. This man died. Cet homme a décédé. Cet homme a décédé. Aucun souci. No problem, no worries. Aucun souci. Aucun souci. Pas de souci. Same thing. Pas de souci. Pas de souci. Cette écharpe est trop belle. This scarf is too pretty or is very pretty. Cette écharpe est trop belle. Cette écharpe est trop belle. Il est trop bien. It's really nice or really good. Il est trop bien. Il est trop bien. Je suis en mode spleen. I'm in a funk. Spleen means funk. Je suis en mode spleen. Je suis en mode spleen. Je suis en mode jeu. I'm in a gaming mode. Je suis en mode jeu. Je suis en mode jeu. J'adore faire la sieste. I love to take naps. J'adore faire la sieste. J'adore faire la sieste. J'adore siester l'après-midi. I love to take a nap in the afternoon. This sounds so wrong to me. J'adore siester l'après-midi. J'adore siester l'après-midi. J'ai eu un coup de cœur devant ce chiot. I fell in love with this puppy. J'ai eu un coup de cœur devant ce chiot. J'ai eu un coup de cœur devant ce chiot. Je vous donne mon mail. I'm giving you my email address. frenchinhudson@gmail.com. Or, je vous donne mon mail, frenchinhudson@gmail.com. All right, let's do that one again. And why don't you insert your email instead? Je vous donne mon mail, arrobase, gmail.com. Or the other way, je vous donne mon mail, put yours in, à gmail.com. All right, back to the good stuff. Un éclair au chocolat, a chocolate eclair. Un éclair au chocolat. Un éclair au chocolat. And if you want to add some variety to your diet, you can say un éclair au café, which is a mocha eclair. Un éclair au café. Un éclair au café. And to which I now say, passez un bon après-midi. Have a nice afternoon. Passez un bon après-midi. Passez un bon après-midi. Remember, the key to becoming fluent is speaking. It doesn't matter how many podcast shows or how much radio you listen to. You cannot become fluent if the words don't actually come out of your mouth. Have you ever dreamed of being fluent in French? It's easier than everybody makes it out to be. You can find more information about our programs and sign up for all of them for all levels at our website, frenchlanguage.net. À bientôt!